In today's video, we are going to be breaking down Zion Williamson and how he shoots the basketball. As we all know, he is a fantastic, powerful player who can get to the rim at will, and nobody can really stop him around the basket. But one thing that can really create a lot of offense for a player is being able to shoot the three-point shot, and I personally think Zion Williamson has a great shooting form. Let's check this out. Okay, so on this shot, it's a set shot. He catches and he goes up for a shot. From here, what do we see? Well, he gathers the ball roughly around his knees, and from there we can then look at his feet. And what do we see from his feet? Well, his heel is off the ground, so that's going to be activating that calf muscle, which is a fast twitch muscle that's going to be able to get him up into the air very quickly. But then again, he does that anyways, so he's just a really powerful player overall. Next thing I like to look at is his face, his eyes. What's he looking at? He is looking at the rim. From there, he is pretty well squared up for a left-handed shooter. So what we have is his feet slightly away from the rim. The rim is in that direction. From there, his hips as well as his shoulders are pointing in the exact same direction as his feet, which is going to allow a player like Zion Williamson to shoot the ball extremely accurately. Now from there, what I would like to look at is, yes, a lot of left-handed players tilt away from the rim. That is normal for a lot of left-handed players. I know there's a lot of coaches that say, hey, you need to square up, but for some reason, there's a lot of players who cannot do that from the left side, and that's totally fine. I'm not dinging that. But when you are tilting your body away from the rim, you really want to have your knees and your feet and your shoulders and your hips all pointing in the same direction. You don't want to have your feet pointing over here and then trying to square up your shoulders. It's just going to be taking a lot of power away from your shot. So from there, this is absolutely perfect. When he goes up, what we see is he does not bend his elbow all that much from here until he gets to about that point, and that's when he starts to cock back his elbow. Now, if he wanted to have a faster release, he could shoot with a 90-degree angle, and he may just get a faster release from there and possibly a more accurate, but I'm not going to be saying that because at this point, I think he's got a good shot. By bending your elbow 45 degrees or roughly around there, you are getting more power onto your shot, but it does create a slower shot. His set point is roughly to the left side of his head, and his hand, or his left hand, is roughly near the top quarter of the ball. We do see that he has space between his palm and the ball as well. Now, when he does shoot, he does bring his knees together, and then when he goes up for a shot, we can see some pretty good energy transfer. However, he does tend to release that ball before his legs straighten out. Now, he could get more power if he could possibly go at a 90-degree angle on his elbows, or on his elbow, and then when he goes up for a shot, release a bit higher up into his shot, which would then make it a little bit harder to block once again. And then he would be able to release the ball maybe a whole foot, if not foot and a half higher, and that could help him be able to get blocked a lot less and make a faster shot. But at this point, I think he's doing pretty good. From there, we do see that his elbow is just below his forehead. And then we can see that even at this point where we end up losing track of where he's at, but his elbow is roughly eye to forehead height. You generally want to have your elbow above your forehead. So when he goes up for that shot, it does look pretty good. He just needs to have that elbow just a bit higher. That would give him a little bit more arc on his shot and a little bit more accurate, or at least consistent with his shot. Then what we want to see is there is the logo there. Let's see how many times this logo goes around the ball. So that's a half, that's a full, and then what we see now is that's another full coming up right about there, and then that's 2 so far, and now this is going on 3, and roughly 3 1/4, 3 1/2, somewhere in there. So you want to have more than 2 1/2 rotations on that ball. That's going to allow it to hit that rim and possibly have a higher chance of bouncing in. The next thing I really like to look at with players is when they release that ball, what are their hands doing? Now this is a clip that it's really hard to tell what he's doing with his hands. Now my biggest critique of Zion Williamson is going to be for the fact that he doesn't release the ball once his legs are totally straight. He tends to release that ball when his elbow is still slightly bent and when his legs are still slightly bent as well. He doesn't get that far off the ground. Now, that may be good in a three-point competition, but it's not necessarily great in a game. But also, something that I really would like to see Zion Williamson do is to extend that elbow above his forehead, which will allow him to be able to have more arc on his shot. But also, something that I really want to see him do is just being able to jump higher up into his shot. I think Zion Williamson is going to be a fantastic player in the NBA, and I think he's an easy 20 to 30 point player for the rest of his career. When it comes to his release, though, he does tend to flick and have a straight hand, which will give him more rotation on the ball, but not necessarily more arc. Anyways, I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, hit that like button, subscribe. If you want to jump like Zion Williamson, make sure to go check out the vertical jump training book down in the description below.